Welcome to my channel, The Awakening of the Church. Let's take a journey back in time. Today I'm going to be talking about the man who had everything, but he didn't have Christ. It was a man in the Bible by the name of King Solomon. His father was David. King Solomon was conceived through an adulterous affair by King David with Bathsheba. But even before Solomon was born, God knew that he was going to be the king. And just like a lot of us, King Solomon's beginning was good. His intentions were good. It's a part in the Bible where God gave King Solomon the opportunity. He had the opportunity to get anything that he could want. But King Solomon understood something. He understood that without God, he can do absolutely nothing. So with that offer that God gave him, he simply asked God to give him wisdom to lead his people. Now, this was a good thing. This was not a bad thing. This was a good thing. He understood that without God, he could do nothing. But God also, as God always do, he has a blueprint. He has a blueprint about how his people and how people are to conduct themselves and to do things. A few of the things he said a king was not to do. Kings were not to gather women, have multiple wives. He was not to have a fleet of chariots. Those were just two of many things that God said a king was not to do. Because God knows the heart of man. But King Solomon, in his own wisdom, and he had the most wisdom that any man ever lived had. People came from all around to come to King Solomon just to hear him speak. And so he had all of this wisdom. But it was something in King Solomon where King Solomon thought that he was the exception. And the same thing can happen with us. When you think that you are the exception, look, God's word do not come back void. What God says is going to come to pass. And we can't get around that. We can't get around that. Now let me get back to the man who had everything. King Solomon sought out to do everything and see if it would bring happiness to him. But in all of this doing in Ecclesiastes, he said, all is vanity, all is vexation of the spirit, all is vanity. Everything is vanity. Is basically grabbing the air. All is vanity. So here we see a person who had it all and were able to do it all. But he came to the conclusion that everything is vanity. Now let me get a little more into this thing with everything being vanity. We could have everything that we could want in this life. But if God is not part of it, then it's going to leave us with a void inside, a emptiness. We're gonna want more of something. Some people can't even put their hands on what it is, but they just know that it's more to this life than all of the riches, all of the cars, all of the beautiful women that you can have, and all the other things, power. It's more to this life than these things. So Solomon became depressed. Solomon became depressed. The man who had it all the wisdom, he had all the money, he had the power, he had the women, and he could do anything that he wanted to do. But yet he was unhappy, depressed. Sin is progressive. Sin just it just don't destroy you right away. It progresses. It starts small and it ends up being big. The man who had it all but didn't know God. Now let's not be too hard on Solomon. Let's bring this up to 2021. God said we can't serve two masters. We can only serve one master at one time. Only one master at one time. You either love God or you hate God. It's no in between when it comes to this. Solomon started well, but progressively he got away from God and God's ways and the way that God said do things. And he became depressed. Here you find him in Ecclesiastes saying everything is vanity and vexation of spirit. Now, is that true? Is everything vanity? Well, in the context of this, everything is vanity if God is not involved in it. When you bring God into the equation, it brings purpose. It's not vanity at that point if we're doing it God's way. The man who had it all but didn't know Christ. Solomon. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Leave me a comment down below. Peace be with you.